Notice is hereby given that the mayor and city council of the city of Nogales will meet in public hearing and regular session Wednesday, October 5th, 6 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, would you please rise? Madam Clerk.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please remain standing for invocation? Pastor Edwin Espinal. Important, por favor.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Mayor. Father, we thank you this morning. We thank you, Lord God, for this day, Lord. We pray in this moment, Lord, that you may lead this meeting. We pray for wisdom. As Scripture says, Lord God, if any lack wisdom, ask God and he will give it to them without reproach. We pray that you may lead and guide the committee of Nogales, the mayor of the city, Lord God, so that your will may be done here on earth as it is in heaven. We pray, Lord, for your blessing in this day. We pray for your blessing here in Nogales. In the name of Jesus, we thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor. Number 4, Arizona History Fun Facts. This one's going to be an easy one. It's on prominent architects whose works are true landmarks in Nogales, Arizona. Number 1, Henry C. Tross was an architect who designed the 1904 Santa Cruz County Courthouse. He also did the Carnegie Library in Tucson and the El Paso del Norte Hotel in El Paso, Texas, the Lourdes Building in Phoenix. Henry Jestad, number 2, was an architect for the Nogales Old City Hall. Number 3, William Reddy is the architect for the 1915 Nogales High School and the Tipcomb Mansion on Crawford Street and numerous homes on Elm and Walnut Street. Number 4, the William Wild was a Russian who fled Tsarist Russia. He was a modernist architect well known in Tucson for the Coca-Cola building, Celeb Peterson store, the College Shop, Learners, Cape Peak Observatory, and other buildings. He was recognized by Sam Capon of Nogales. He designed the new Villa de Paris store in 1960 and numerous homes in Nogales. Number 5, Benny Gonzalez is a well-known proponent of Southwestern architecture who did more of the municipal buildings in Scottsdale, as well as the Nogales Public Library and the VFW building. Roy and his son Lou Platts were well known for most of the University of Arizona buildings. The Pioneer Hotel, Walter Home and Company Warehouse, and the Pajarito Street residence of Mr. and Mrs. Walter Home. Number 7, Ed Starr, who resided in Nogales, was the architect who did the Hilltop Gallery, St. Andrew's Church, and his own unique modern home on the corner street, including numerous other buildings. And today's question: Henry Jestad, who I earlier mentioned had done Old City Hall building, had another profession. And somebody knows, Mr. Parada, do you know this?
Let's see, that was on my 21st birthday I met that man.
Are you serious? Anybody know this one? Anybody knows this question? It's easy. The name was Henry J. Stad. Like I said, he's the one that built the old city hall, our building downtown. What was the other profession he had? No? No history? No? Okay. He was the mayor of the city of Tucson. Just for information. So jot that down, because there was a free trip to Las Vegas paid by the city of Nogales. You missed out on that one. Okay, now item number 5, it's called to the public. The first one is Mr. Giuseppe Prestigio. Can you please come to the podium, sir?
Go ahead, David. Thank you for the opportunity to address briefly this meeting regarding my sublease at the Palo Duro Country Club. The Prestini family arrived here in Nogales, Arizona in 1978 to establish a musical instruments manufacturing company and to establish a little assembly plant in Nogales, Sonora. My father has been, and my grandfather, in that business since 1890, and my mother was in the restaurant and hotel business in northern Italy since 1930. In the month of July 2010, I entered a sublease with Ken Ciccone at Palo Duro, at the restaurant in Palo Duro, which was a property of the city of Nogales. Mr. Ciccone had a 100-year master lease with the city. At the Palo Duro Country Club, the master lease naturally provided that any sublease had to be approved by the city of Nogales. The city of Nogales, though, never approved previous subleases like Mr. Rojas and other partners that ran the restaurant before that. And the city of Nogales approved our liquor license during a city council meeting in September 2010. The restaurant permit was also approved by the city of Nogales. But by January 2011, this year, it became evident to me that Mr. Ciccone did not have the financial means or the interest to keep the golf course open as he promised when we signed the sublease with him. And furthermore, we had not yet received the city approval for the sublease, so I asked for a meeting, and Mr. Felix, Mr. Parada, the city manager, Mr. Dill, the city attorney, Mr. Machado, and Mr. Rojas was at the restaurant to discuss the deplorable status of the golf course, the high rent we was paying to Mr. Ciccone, and the future of our sublease at Palo Duro. At the end of the meeting, I really felt like the city was going to support the restaurant. I felt like the Meadow Hills Country Club needed an open restaurant, and I received compliments on the decoration and on the food at the restaurant. On April the 6th, the city council voted 6-0 to terminate the contract with Ciccone. That also terminate any sublease related to the master lease. Unfortunately, there was no consideration given at that time to my restaurant business and to the event that was taken at the restaurant for Nogales family. I did spend to decorate Palo Duro over $80,000 in decoration, furniture for the kitchen, for the restaurant. I bought a Class 6 license to cover the golf course, and I pay my rent plus $15,000 in deposit to Mr. Ciccone. I pay my rent until January 2011. On April 25th, I received a notice from the city attorney office to vacate the premises. 2 days after, on April 27th, the gates of my restaurant were locked, the locks were changed, the electricity was disconnected, although we don't know who disconnected. It certainly wasn't a city employee. And we were not permitted to enter the premises until May the 6th, 2011. All the food that we had purchased for events that we had scheduled 3 days after the lockdown naturally spoiled because there was no electricity and the refrigerator wasn't working. And unfortunately, we had to reschedule those events somewhere else. I also like to address some rumors going around Nogales and also the city. I heard some rumors like that Prestini did not return money on the events scheduled after the lockdown at the Palo Duro restaurant. With my own personal money, I paid to the Martin Jacker family, which had an event 2 days after the lockdown, $1,250. I paid the Nora Badia family $1,000 to be able to reschedule, and I rescheduled for her the event at Kino Spring Country Club. Patty La Torre was organizing a wedding. I paid with my own money $500 and rescheduled that event at Kino Spring that very same week. And for the Gastelum family, they had a quinceañera and paid $2,500. Those $2,500 deposit was paid by the family was paid to my then associate Nicola Marinella, was paid unfortunately in cash. Mr. Marinella never returned the money to that family, and we have no understanding or we know where that money went. So the last event that was scheduled was the Maria Cruz family wedding event in September of this year. That money for that event was paid to the Ciccone company, and we tried to negotiate it, but she decided to have the event somewhere else. I understand the position of the city on the lease, and I understand the position of the city and the legal office on the sublease. What I do not understand is why I was given only 2 days notice, and most important, why I wasn't given the time to reschedule those events, and this created really a lot of suffering for all those families, for those Nogales family. Now all the restaurant decoration, all the furniture and everything is over at my musical instruments company with the help of Rafael Rojas and Chef Martinez of Nogales. I successfully served over 2,000 people at the Palo Duro during December 2010 for all the Christmas party, for Sonitronis, for Ladder Bank of Nogales, for many produce company. I know how to provide fine food and fine decoration and exceptional service. This has been in my family for 3 generations. I hope that the city of Nogales will give some consideration to my business integrity and to all these past events at Palo Duro. And I have copy of all the check if anybody needs to look at them. And I thank you again for all the time you gave me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pastini. As you know, in Call to the Public, we cannot really address this issue, but we'll take it into consideration with people.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir John Jackson.
Good evening. My name is John Jackson. I live and have lived for the past 12 years at 125 East Morley Avenue. That's for some people that might have a doubt about it and have accused me in the past of not living there. And I plan to be there for the next 20, 30 years, if God permits. Anyway, I'm here because I've been going around the city and a lot of things are happening. I hear a lot of rumors. One of the things that I hear, and there's accusations going back and forth, is a priority on holiday expenses. Basically, I am in support of the fact that USA holidays and activities should be supported. Number one, if there's any foreign holidays, I feel that the people sponsoring those holidays should foot the bill for that. If the city provides any help, such as labor, whatever it is, and that event makes any profit, the city should be reimbursed. The next thing that I want to bring up is the recycling program. I was not here the last meeting, I know it was discussed. That's something that's dear to my heart. I was involved with it to get it going. I did, one of the first things that I talked to Mr. Dillon when he came in was the recycling. And I'm hoping something's being done. I hear different things happening. I don't like some of the things that I hear. One of the things is that I understand that, or at least the rumor that's flying is that they're going to eliminate one day of garbage. Normally it's twice a week. One day there'll be garbage, and they'll allow the blue cans to be used for garbage. I would say no, do not do that. I'm against something like that. The blue cans are for strictly for recycling, and there was a special grant for that. The other thing, the good news is, of course, the Morley Avenue paving. I live right there. I sit there. I lived through the last few months of the street torn up, all that dust going on. But it was a well-done job. Of course, it's far from finished. There's still a lot of little cosmetic items to be done. One of the things that troubles me is that Morley Avenue, I thought, ended way at the end, past that little park that's there. And apparently it stopped at the end of the park, and there's a section back there that was not paved. Is that going to be paved, or is that going to remain the same? It's pretty torn up. There's the church back there, and there's about 2 or 3 houses back there.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Dillon.
Mr. Jackson, unfortunately, we're not able to respond to questions during call to the public, but either myself, John Kissinger, or Aaron White. Aaron, raise your hand. Aaron's the guy you can talk to about recycling, and we can help address your question about the Morley Avenue project.
Okay, I certainly would like to get with somebody to get this thing, at least get the facts behind what's going on here. There's also a wall as you're coming off of the Patagonia Highway into Morley that's been knocked down. And I know I talked to Mr. Guerra, and he's aware of it, but apparently there's a problem with it. It's either who's supposed to do it, the city or the county. And I think it doesn't look right. You just got a brand new street out there, and that wall has been there. It's been knocked over for, I would say, the last 3 or 4 years, and nobody's really paying attention to it. I hope that the city will look at it, and hopefully that the city can do something about it. It doesn't look very good when you come in off of the Patagonia Highway. Also, right in front of my house, that arroyo runs in front of the house on the north end of Morley. Hasn't been cleaned out. There's weeds, debris, trees, whatever it is, at least for the last 2 or 3 years. In the past, it has been the county that goes in there to clean it. This year I called them up, complained to them, and they said it was the city. So I started investigating. Apparently, there's supposedly an IGA that's supposed to be negotiated between the city and the county. What's the status of that IGA? Is anything being done about it? Hopefully that thing will get done. Of course, the rainy season is over with, but at least to the end of the year, for next year, they'll clean that arroyo out and keep it clean. Also, I got agenda item number 14. Reverend, our ex-mayor, I would like to reserve my comment when that item comes up for discussion.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Dillon.
Mr. Jackson, you are welcome to come in any day of the week to address those issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll give you a call and we'll set up a...
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Marisela, como se...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Marisela Bonborcel Garcia, Nogales, Arizona. I come before you so I may ask that you preserve the picture and plaques of former Mayor Octavio Garcia Bonborcel as they are. Let the picture stand in its rightful place among the rest of the mayors of Nogales, Arizona, leaders of our community. None of them perfect by any means, but nevertheless they are part of Nogales history. Former Mayor Octavio is also part of Nogales history. A history you cannot deny, much less erase. You mustn't. Octavio is already paying his debt to society. I ask you not to judge nor condemn him, but to recognize the positive and constructive achievements under his mayorship. You council members who worked along and beside him know about the hard work, effort, and dedication of trying to meet the needs of a community. It is not an easy job, and sometimes not even possible. To you, my deepest and profound gratitude for treating him and his family with dignity and respect. And to those who played a role in constant malice and vicious attacks, I can assure you that you can never destroy his soul, nor can you destroy the composite of qualities such as courage, determination, and vigor. And you certainly cannot destroy the elements that makes my son Octavio the kind of man that he is. elements that you, Mr. Henessian, lack completely, in my opinion. I thank you for your time, and God bless.
Thank you, Mrs. Olmsted. Next, Alex Zuniga.
Yes, good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Alex Zuniga, and I didn't hear about yesterday about this, about that was a picture getting off the wall. There's 6 pictures up there. I worked at the city, and I knew stuff and I don't, and a lot of stuff I don't. And all the councilmen have been here only 2 terms. Out of the 6 pictures, I think Kramer should be up there, and the rest, if they're going to do it, go that way. Just take, half of these people, the one that got caught was Gustavo, but he did good for the city. He was, like his mom said, he's paying. But, we all make mistakes and we learn from mistakes. Richard Nixon learned from a mistake. He didn't take his president off the United States president. He got kicked out. Stating that either the president of the United States makes mistakes and got caught too. So I don't think we should take anybody's picture, just leave it on and go on with life. It's over. He got caught, he's paying his term, life goes on. We all know, out of 6 pictures, we all know who was there, who's not, who was there last before Talo. Everybody makes mistakes. And I don't know why Mr. Ishan decides, to take that picture off. And I would like to ask him why. He would like to answer me.
We can't do it during call to the public, but during the item.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from call to the public who'd like to speak before we move?
Good evening. How y'all doing? I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited right now.
Your name?
My name is Mucho Martinez. I represent KOFH Maxima 99.1, the only mainstream station in the city. Half of me comes representing the station. The other half comes as a citizen. First of all, even though I grew up in the great city of New York, I was born here, and I spent many cold winters thinking about Nogales, and summers here with my father, may he rest in peace, going to the businesses, getting to know people. Some of y'all might know me. Now, contrary to popular belief, the radio is not here to attack anybody. Radio listeners will call in, and they will brief about their problems, and usually the politicians are the first out. Now, we're not experts in what we say. Sometimes we're not educated on the city charter. For that, I apologize. You guys are always open to conversate with me or anybody from the station to educate us. In fact, I reached out myself to you, Mr. Dean. Spoken to you, man. A couple of you I know, a couple of you I don't. With that said, right now, Nogales is part of the whole. The state, the nation, it's hurting. Economically, family-wise, we're all hurting. Nogales is no exception. In fact, we might be hurt more than a lot of the towns around the state and around the country. Some of them might be worse. I myself have family members who are going to lose their house. I have family members that are on welfare. By no means am I rich myself. Every day I worry about paying the gas. Every day about paying the bills and making sure my kid has basketball money. So, as a personal opinion, it did irk me a little bit to see provision number 14 about a picture. Now, I'm not here to attack anybody. I know a couple of people already mentioned Mr. Hennessian's name. I respect Mr. Hennessy in past meetings for a lot of things he's done. And by no means am I here to condone or criticize the ex-mayor. A court and a jury already did that. One thing I can tell you, and I speak from the education my parents worked so hard to give me, but part of me shoots from the hip. I don't want to hear about no picture right now. I really don't. Now, if we're going to argue half of this, half of it is you can't erase your history, whether good or bad. It's part of your history. That's what it is. I might call myself in New York every once in a while, my accent might come out, but I'm from Nogales. You can't erase me, you can't erase him. His term started, let's just say there was a lot of questions about how his term started. I was here for that. But it's part of history. It really is. So let it lie. A lot of you guys ran your campaigns on a government you can trust. Let's move on. Let's change the image. And a lot of you guys have been doing a great job. I congratulate you on that. So let's move on. I don't know how far the city government can take it to help the common man's problems. And I'm going to try to educate myself with your help, with other people's help, so I can educate the radio public. But the last thing I want to do is spend the next 15, 20 minutes arguing about a picture. I don't care about him, good or bad, my sympathies. What I do care about is my family and the people in my community. And that's what I want to see my government do. I say this as a humble citizen, as a right to express myself in this great nation, and as part of the press. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. We'll call to the public. That's it. We're going to go to number 6, consent agenda. This item A through E. Motion for consent agenda. Council? I move. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Yes?
I go with all the items except I am going to abstain from number C.
Number C?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Made the motion, second, please.
Second.
You made the motion.
I made the motion.
Mayor.
Item number 7, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-10-069.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move that order number 2011-10-069 be approved.
Discussion? Go ahead.
I have a little discussion this. These cameras, is there any possibility to put some of these cameras in the public works?
Are you request?
He's the one.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jose Contreras. I'm the MIS manager. No, not the way it's set up. It's going to have to originate from the library and go to a security, either a firm. We're looking at going to the housing authority. They already have the hardware for it. Can do it for it works, unfortunately.
We have to start looking at something that definitely public works in the future.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
But you know, we should look into that. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 8, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-10 2022-071.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion?
None.
Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 9, consideration and possible action to ordinance number 020, correction. Is that a 0 or is that a O? O 2011-10-004.
So move.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much. Discussion?
Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Mayor, if we could have Mr. Dilly maybe just give us a little, or Mr. Machado give us just a little rundown for the audience so they can understand what this is about.
Mr. Dooley, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Hessian, probably a more detailed explanation of this would come from our management assistant, Aaron White. He presented this, if you recall, at your last meeting where we had a study session on it. And the effort is just to stay ahead of the curve on some of the legislative things happening at the state level.
Thank you, Mr. Dilly, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Aaron White, Management Analyst for the city. This ordinance, like Mr. Dilly said, puts us ahead of the curve. And as it says in your staff summary, this is almost a mirror of what was passed in Sierra Vista. And helping us maintain the cleanliness and the order of waste management collection and hauling within the city limits. This will be a good step for us to be able to ensure that all of the companies or enterprises that are currently or may want to collect or haul waste management will have to conform to certain standards, such as having clearly marked vehicles and containers, making sure their vehicles are watertight, and so there's little or no nuisance to our residents. Are there any further questions?
Are you comfortable? Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Public hearing, item number 10, to adopt 2010-02 model tax code amendments proposed by the Model City Tax Code Commission. Mr. Dillon?
Mr. Mayor, at this point, just open the public hearing, receive whatever comments there are, and then we can close and move on to the next item.
Is there anybody who want to talk about this public hearing? No. Okay, we'll close this public hearing. Thank you very much. We go into item number 11. Consideration possible action order number 2011-10-072.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve order number 2011-10-072.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Parada. Any discussion? Go
Dilly,
ahead.
would you address the public about more or less what it's all about, what's got to be done on the solid waste and so forth in the tax codes? On item 10,
Solid waste?
Will you explain it a little bit more in detail?
Sure. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, every year the Model City Tax Code Commission meets and deliberates on amendments that need to be broadcasted out across the entire state by way of the Model City Tax Code. The city of Nogales is affected by the Model City Tax Code in that we have adopted that as our own model by way we apply taxes to the public, whether that's hotels or restaurants or whatever it is. And every time the commission meets and as a product of that meeting amendments are made to the Model City Tax Code, through the Arizona League of Cities, those amendments are broadcasted out to all of the cities with the help of the legal department and our clerk's office and with finance as well. those items are brought up to you as a council to make those amendments to our own model city tax code. So the public hearing was in reference to hearing from the public if there are any questions on those on what the commission was recommending by way of changes. My experience with what they do is historically just housekeeping to keep up with the times, because the model city tax code was adopted many years ago and needs to be brought up to speed. So most of the time that they're brought forward, it's immaterial. It's just keeping track of what's happening today in our economy and across the state. It is not implementing like a new tax or that I'm aware of. Terry, are you aware of? So it's just housekeeping. It's not applying a new tax to anybody or increasing our taxes at all. And so item 10 was to hear the public hearing on that. Item 11 is to consider this ordinance a public record, much like what we did up in the previous ordinance. So we don't have to advertise the entire document, it would cost a lot. We do a public hearing, a public record. And then item 12 is the actual ordinance that would take those recommended changes to the model city tax code and apply it to Nogales. If you'd like specifics, I would have to defer in terms of exactly what those changes are. I'd have to defer to either legal or our finance director. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Over there, they have to deal knowledge what's going on.
You bet. Right. And this will happen periodically, from year to year. It just depends on what the commission does at the state level.
Okay. Yes, sir. Anybody else? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 12, consideration possible action of ordinance number 0. That's number O, huh? Okay. 02011-10-005.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 13, discussion and possible directions regarding closure of Terrace Avenue.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Discussion, Mr. Parada, would you like to discuss it?
In order to change the image of Nogales to beautify that section, I would like to address the people, the council here to look into closing the street so we can clean it up and we can start getting programs in there like the market programs and so forth. So we can start bringing people to Nogales, try to change the image and start bringing people to Nogales.
Mr. Parada, that's actually it's a very good idea, and I support you on that actually, because that was the original intent. The original intent of the pedestrian walkway. You remember that, Vice Mayor? Right. And we need to address that. But one thing that I believe maybe the direction we need to give to staff is to do probably a feasibility study with all the people that own properties there and have businesses, Mr. Dilly, so that we can approach it and maybe have some public input, some meetings with them to see the support that we can get for a move like that. Because actually the original plan, like Mr. Parada says, was a pedestrian walkway. So there was two concepts. I think one was from Crawford all the way to the Deacon Port of Entry, then the other concept was from Nick Street to the Deacon Port of Entry, so there'd be a circulation of traffic. So maybe it's something that we could do it as staff can help us on it. Do you have any comments on that?
So I've been thinking a little bit about this, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Somewhere in a shelf somewhere in the city, we have to have some kind of illustrations of what was originally thought on that first block. Maybe it makes sense that that's the starting point for a study session where we have those displayed and we talk about it. The council and staff, obviously inviting the general public to to sit and listen to the dialogue that happens, where we start figuring out how we're going to close that and what we want to realize in that closed section. Whether it's, you know, a farmer's market, or, you know, just have it open to different kind of venues. Really, the door is wide open, but we have to have those things in mind so that as we start moving forward, we can realize that at the end of the day. So I was thinking that it would probably be a good idea for us to schedule a study session where we can just, you know, kind of roll up our sleeves and start identifying exactly what is in the vision and picture for the council on that first block. And then put the charge to staff to try to put an action plan together to make it happen. It's going to be a process. I think it would be a mistake for us just to go out today and put bollards in that first block without having done some good planning and a good dialogue with council and with the business owners along that strip of terrace. But at the end of the day, I can see that there's something that's lacking out there in the eyes of the council, and we need to get that on paper so we understand what we need to do to move forward. And a study session would help us do that. Mr. Pettis?
Yes. One of the ideas that I've had on this is for staff to prepare before our study session something that we can go by, trying to how we can go by closure of that street, what we have to do. That way we have something in writing that we can use at the time that we're having our study session. Our input, financial input on that street was quite a bit. It's a lot of money that was invested in that street. We need to do something about that. So that's one of the reasons that I was involved in putting this in the agenda, so staff can help us get all that information. So if you could, get information that we can use on that study session as much as you can get. That way we have an idea and we have more. I don't know if legal can get involved with this. Is legal?
Sure, we'll set up an outline and the steps necessary to achieve this goal. Right. What we have to do legally to get to where we want to go.
That way we have all our P's and Q's and all our T's and you know, I's dotted and all that good stuff. But that way when you do plan that study session, we have some information on our hands and we can go by that.
You know, Mr. Felix, Councilman, I think, you know, you're on the right track, because when the money was asked for the enhancement project for the original $500,000 for enhancement of the street back in 2001, there was a design concept report.
I remember seeing this.
And maybe if we can go back to engineering and see if that design concept is still in hand, that'll indicate actually the original plan that, you know, with time after 8 years, it evolved to what we have now. And maybe we can go back to that original plan where it was considered a pedestrian walkway. Maybe we can dig that up.
So what I'll do is I'll work with our city attorney, and you know, he'll kind of help us with the legal steps that we have to do and outline that for us. We'll go back and dust those pictures off this, you know, on the shelf, so we have some visuals to like start our mind going on really how we want this to be, and then we'll just have a good productive dialogue in terms of moving forward. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Okay.
But the reason I put it on the agenda, Mr. Dilly, is that every time we go to something like this, it's put under the carpet. It takes 3 months to bring it back again. But I want action to be taken on this, and not for 2-3 months from now, as soon as possible.
Okay. I think that the prep time that we're talking about, it shouldn't take us all that long to get to that point. So we should expect a study session either October or the first part of November.
Great.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mr. Farah, Mr. Felix?
Yeah.
You're good. Anybody else from the council? You're fine? Okay, so that's the direction, Mr. Dilly, to take?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll move. Thank you very much. Item number 14. Before I go into this item, I just want to say one thing. I want civility in this council. I want civility in this room. And if there's discussion, let it be discussion. But I I don't want anybody going out of control, not in this council, not in my chamber. So, let it be civility. Discussion and possible action regarding the removal of Octavio Garcia Bomborste's mayoral picture from the city of Nogales lobby and the removal of all city plaques bearing the name of Octavio Garcia Bomborste, mayor.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Mr.
I make the motion, go ahead, or I go ahead and make the motion to remove the Octavio Garcia Bomborste mayoral picture from the city of Nogales lobby and the removal of all city plaques bearing the name of Octavio Garcia Bomborste as mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Mr. Anciano.
Yes. You know, I think there's been a lot of talk here about redoing history. History can be redone both ways. It can be redone for the good and for the bad. I would like to just go through a little bit of history on this item here. First of all, Mr. Garcia was never an elected mayor. He was elected by a cabal of which Mr. Jackson was part of, right? And this group was only there,
Civility, remember.
was only there.
Who started it?
Mr. Anciano, you too.
Was only there for their own personal use and basically for financial gains. So that's the way the cabal started. All people involved in the cabal were part of that situation. Of course, we lived through that. We had to live through all that. Okay? You know, it does seem that that Mr. Garcia did realize. At first, I don't think he really realized what was going on. Why? Because I think there was a lot of people around him that that kept egging him on. They kept telling him he was doing right. Right? I've often referred to them, and they were part. Their names have never come out, but they were part of it. They knew what was going on, but they didn't seem to say anything about it. Some people said things about it, but they seemed to egg him on. He seemed to have accepted that, and I will. This is a quote. This is with Judge Bernini. This is a quote from Judge Bernini, and he says, "Is it your belief?" This is when he had accepted the plea bargain. And the question that had been brought up is basically, why did he accept the plea bargain? Is it your belief that if evidence was presented to a jury, there was a likelihood that you would be found guilty in trial to the counts charged in that indictment? 13 indictments. And as Mr. Garcia said, yes, Your Honor. I think he understood there what had happened. He understood what the history was, okay? Now, I'm not trying to rewrite history, as other people are. I will give an example of other people trying to rewrite history. You know, we have two of the council members here that wrote letters to Judge Bernini. They seem to have wanted to rewrite history. Mr. Garcia did no wrong. They never saw anything wrong. And I would like to read this for the record. This is Mr. Felix's letter to Judge Bernini. This is rewriting history. I mean, we can sit here and rewrite history on everybody. At the end of the day, I can look like, you know, Tom Cruise. We can rewrite history any way you want. I can tell you when I was young, I was a gorgeous kid and all the girls were after me. Right? We can rewrite history. We can rewrite history on everybody. Okay, that's one way to rewrite history. It seems to be that here is Mr. Felix here. I am writing in reference to former Mayor Octavio Garcia Bomborste. I served as his colleague in the Nogales City Council. I am currently serving my second term in office. I have found the former mayor to be a man of good character. Did he just not admit to 13 counts? Did he not admit to this indictment? Yet, over here, we're rewriting history. It's rewriting history completely. He's a man of good character and possessed of good moral, both professional and as a friend. This is rewriting history. As far as I can see, it's rewriting history. Mr. Jackson would like to rewrite history and a lot of things too. It was a true honor working with him on improving the quality of life of our constituents. Never, this is rewriting history, never did I have a reason to question his integrity or motives. Did not Mr. Garcia admit to it? This is after he admitted to it. It seems that history is being rewritten in another way. He has repetitively devoted himself to our community, participating in various organizations outside city duties such as the Lions Club and Nuestra Casa, amongst others. I have always admired his willingness to dedicate time outside his mayoral responsibilities to help others. Is this rewriting history? This is one way of rewriting history. I can dye my hair black too. You can rewrite history on that too. I've come to respect him dearly for his input, loyal friendship, and driven leadership. Did he not admit to all these things? Did he not admit to it? Are we rewriting history? Sure seems like this history is being rewritten. I have faith his sentence will be adjusted and his determination in helping and supporting the less fortunate in our community will be taken into serious consideration. Rewriting history. How about the Cesar Rios letter?
Parada.
Oh, Cesar Paradas, I'm sorry.
Yes,
yeah, Cesar Parada. I got confused because it was written with the American Legion letterhead. I just want to find out if all the American Legion agrees to this. This is a letter. I don't think he tried to rewrite history on this one. He tried to ignore all history.
Read it.
My name is Cesar Parada. I was sworn into office in Nogales, Arizona, April 2009. I have known Mr. Garcia Bombosha for 5 years. His congenial disposition, both as an elected officer and citizen towards the veterans of this community, has been extraordinary. Maybe that's not rewriting history. I don't know. As a citizen, he has dedicated many volunteer hours in supporting and helping our local events. Although Mr. Garcia Bomborsal is not a veteran, at least that history wasn't rewritten, right? You know, there's been politicians back east that rewrote history. They were in Vietnam, they served in Vietnam. They remember very well. He has always been courteous to the American Legion and its families. Okay, that's very good. As an elected official, he listened to our needs. And I feel he sincerely appreciated our sacrifice to this country. Again, I really don't know. Before his efforts, the city of Nogales did not recognize Memorial Day nor Veterans Day. We've always recognized Memorial Day and Veterans Day. I have no idea, right? Maybe Mr. Garcia also, according to Mr. Parada, invented the internet. I don't know. But rather we're replaced by Mexican holidays. Memorial Day and Veterans Day. This is rewriting history. This is rewriting history. Although he maintained a strong international working relation with Mexico, he recognized the importance and made a non-biased difference. What does this mean? I guess it says, it was through his determination and consistency that those two American holidays are now recognized and celebrated again. Were Veterans Day and Memorial Day ever eliminated in Nogales? This is rewriting history. Is this part of rewriting the whole thing? The veterans of this community and I are forever grateful to his willingness not to give up when we most needed a leader to prevail for us. Thank God somebody brought back Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Respectfully, we ask for your leniency and you know, a way of rewriting history is very easy, right? There's a word that has been used in retailing and maybe with politicians called puffery. And that word there means building somebody up or trying to sell something so hard that you make up stories. That seems to be what rewriting history is about, is rewriting stories. Now, I don't know. I can actually say I sat here and I was here for the 4 years that Mr. Garcia was here. And obviously there had to have been some good. Some good. There was some good even when other councilmen were on the city council, right? Even if it was very little. But what he did went past that. And again, he accepted it. He seems to have accepted it. I'm glad. I'm glad. Hopefully, I hope that he comes back and becomes the reincarnation of Stephen Jobs. I hope he does something tremendous. And I hope to God one of these days that I can say I knew him. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about, what we're talking about is the sign out there. Okay? And the pictures out there. Again, he went past this, remember. I think everybody remembers the white truck. Not the white Explorer. Not the O.J. Simpson white truck. This is the white truck that Octavio had his secretary put in their name so that he could use it.
You're going on. Okay.
All right. All I'm saying on this is that he entangled in his web a lot of the employees in the city, and that was brought up. This is not me saying something. It was in the Nogales International, the Tucson paper, and all the channels. It was in his voice where he referred to one of the employees as my boy. So I mean, you know, what he did went way past the whole situation. You know, again, you know, we've never had. He was convicted of felony. He accepts it. He accepts it. He now realizes, and I'm sure that he regrets a lot of things that happened. Right? A lot of things came out in the last 2 years. A lot of things have come out that everybody should have put a stop to it. But there was people here that didn't either seem to care or would egg him on. Right? Or they were kind of embarrassed, I guess, of maybe what was going on and didn't want to say anything. That's rewriting history. Because the people that are here are supposed to be here to go ahead and they're here for the city of Nogales. They're not here for anybody else. They're here for the city of Nogales. And, you know, I refer to these people as enablers. They haven't been named yet.
Mr. Hanesian, yes, stay on the topic.
So all I'm saying is, you know, I didn't bring up the rewriting of history. You people brought it up. I'm not trying to rewrite history. History will always be there. You can always check in the court system. I did. I found all this. In fact, I found a lot more that I didn't even want to know. Right? You know, that's part of history. So the history will always be there. All I'm saying is that basically, and there was a comment made, and I, you know, I hate to be saying this, but someone wrote that maybe there should be a picture of him there in jail drab with the bars in front of him. Maybe that's part of history. That wouldn't be rewriting history. That would just be part of history. Right? But in my opinion is the city has to move on. Why should the city be here and for the next 20 or 30 years, okay, and looking at the picture and basically, you know, history is forgotten. That's why, you know, a lot of times you have to think about it. But history's forgotten. In 20 years or 30 years, most people won't realize. Most people won't be interested in this. Why? Because everybody's moved on. You know, most people have already forgotten about Morley Avenue, as that was brought up again. You know, they've forgotten what Morley Avenue was like. They've forgotten that it could have been done years ago. So that's rewriting history. So again, I am not trying to rewrite history. I just think that, you know, the best thing to do now is eliminate all these things because we have no reason to honor him under any condition. I don't think he did any good for the city. I think a lot of those things were childish. The clock that's out in front where he put his plaque on it was silly. The plaque in front of the Primera y Alta Historical Society for painting the building, they put a plaque there.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, a lot of these things, as far as I'm concerned, do not merit any of these things. Right? So, again, the next thing we can find out, maybe Mr. Parada will decide to start with a corrida.
Mr. Hanesian.
Yes.
I think you got your point.
I think I've said enough. Yes, sir. Thank you. I do reserve to be able to talk again.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to comment some of the letters. If we still.
Go ahead, Mr. Parada.
Okay, when I mentioned the Memorial Day and the VFW, Memorial Day and Veterans Day, he was sitting down here with me in the study section. I brought it up, why not have Veterans Day and Memorial Day and special events to be funded by the city? His answer to me was, that's a federal program. You know, I said, I couldn't believe that it came from him. Who are we? In Venezuela? Cuba? We're in the United States. And what happened that day? They catered to the Cinco de Mayo for $20,000 or more. Being that we're in the pinch here. Never,
Mr. Parra,
never.
we're off the.
Right. Well, they never recognized Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
To
me,
Mr. Hanesian, I said civility. Mr. Parra, I understand what you're saying, sir.
Right, and to me, up there first than any other nation, our national holiday.
Thank you very much.
I'll say it now,
Felix,
I'll say it over.
Mr. Felix, go ahead.
Just to answer Hanesian's comments about that letter that I wrote, I meant everything that I said. And to me, when I wrote and I said what was put on that letter, that's the way I think, and that's the way I'm going to continue. I agree with Mr. Mucho Martinez. You know, why is he losing so much time? You know, we have better things to do for the city than go look for items that, you know, that shouldn't be there. Like they said, it's part of history. He's going to be there. Nixon was there. And, you know, I don't see him going, looking for, to better the city. And that's not betterment for the city. That's something childish, something that doesn't even, losing time, making us lose time on this right now, going for this item. And again, and I'll be very frank, when I wrote that letter, I meant every word of it.
Thank you, Mr. Anybody else? Go ahead, Mr. Mayor. Diaz. No, Mr. Diaz.
Oh. I just have a few comments, real short comments. We cannot be bringing all these things up because we're trying to improve the image of Nogales, Arizona.
Yes, sir.
We keep bringing all this bad, negative things that happened in the past. It's not helping us improve the image of the city of Nogales. What we have to do is not dwell on the past, but focus on the future and keep moving forward. That's what we have to do. We can't be thinking of the past. Forward. Don't look back. Keep going forward.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor, did you have something to say?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
With all due respect, sir, Councilman, Mr. Dillon, Mr. Machado, fellow council people, and our community. Tonight, I am going to speak as a mother. I talked with my son, former Mayor Luis Valdez, and I told him the same thing I am going to tell you tonight. It is wrong for us as mayor and council to pass judgment on anyone, including Octavio. No one in life is perfect. We all make mistakes. We are all guilty of having committed sins, but none of us have had to account for them in the very public way that Octavio has. The only perfect man to have ever lived was crucified, and our faith teaches us that he died for the same sins we commit every day. For those of us who go to church, our faith also teaches forgiveness. I agree what Octavio did was wrong. I agree what Octavio did. He did not contest the charges that he has gone to prison, but also he did a lot of positive things, and for that I think he should be accountable for. However, I do not agree that we should sit here in judgment of anyone. Only the good Lord above gets to do that. What is being proposed tonight is that we as council kick a dog on the street when he's already down. And that is just not right. We are better than that. We cannot erase our memories, and we cannot erase history. The fact remains that Octavio was appointed mayor. Should we also condemn the members of the council who appointed him to office? Should we blame those in the press or in the public who supported his appointment a few years ago? The answer, of course, is no. The only person to blame here is Octavio, and he is paying the price. Maybe the reason some of us are so adamant about doing this is because we look in the mirror and we see the same things that we saw in Octavio. Maybe you need to look at yourself in the mirror a little more closely, Mr. Hanesian. I can say this with authority because I believe I am the one person on the council who has worked with you very closely, and the mayor as I have when we have disagreed. When Bill Clinton and Richard Nixon did their mistake, they removed their pictures? Of course not. When Phi Simonton was found guilty of federal crimes, did we wipe his photo away from the Capitol? Of course not. What they all did was wrong, but they still remain part of history, whether we like it or not. That's what the pictures and the nameplates are all about. The fact remains that if we don't learn from the lessons of the past, we will never be able to pass those lessons to our future generation. After all, Mr. Henesian, wasn't it you who strongly advocated for the appointment of Mr. Jaime Fontes to become city manager, only to have that decision turn out to be a major disaster? And wasn't it the city manager who you accused of enabling Octavio? Are we going to blame you for enabling Octavio, or after all, you did vote for him? Should we blame you and all of those council members who appointed Octavio for everything that happened, since you have identified all of his supporters as enablers of the former mayor? I have worked with you and against on many issues, Mr. Henesian, and the only thing that this does is make you feel better about getting even with Octavio. This does nothing to improve our city, and it does nothing to help our residents. I, for one, won't do it. This includes, for this reason, this is why I will vote no, and I believe that the judge and the people have already spoken. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Anybody else have anything else to say?
Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, Mr.
Don't forget me.
Go ahead, Mr. Jackson, come on. Come on. Mr. Jackson, this not good personal or anything, all right?
I'll tell you, I will not lower myself to this level.
Okay.
I assure you that.
That's it. That's as far as
First of all, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to all this. I love my community, okay? I went through an ordeal. I forgot about it once it was a satisfactory remedy. I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want this to be going on and on. I was appalled, to be frank, when I heard that the council was considering removing everything to do with Mr. Garcia. Why? I do not understand it. The only time in history that I've seen history and everything being abolished in one person is in these dictatorships. When these dictators comes in, he wants to abolish everything of the other guy. What benefit did the city get out of doing that? This is part of history. It's not rewriting history, it's history itself. It is part of history, and it should remain on so that everybody will be aware of what's going on. Mr. Garcia and his family have already paid for the mistakes of whatever went on. Let's get together and let's cut out the personal vendettas, and let's get together and start working for a better community. That is all I want to see. I could sit here every meeting just by hearing the rumors and reading what's going on, and I could sit here and just criticize everybody. That is not my nature. My nature is to help the city. And I've talked to almost all the council members, with except for Henesian. I went and volunteered my services. You need my help, give me a call. I'll be glad to work with you. I talked to the city manager. I'll talk to anybody that you need my help. If you want me or something, call me up. My interest is in the community, and I will not sit here and criticize the council, because I respect the council. The job they're doing is a thankless job. I can tell you right now, I respect everybody on the council, and I will not lower myself to that level.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Is there anybody else who would, go ahead, Mr. Huerta.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Manny Huerta, Nogales, Arizona. I'm just wondering if we're setting ourselves up for, is this going to be a precedent that we're setting up by doing this? Does that mean that the next city council and mayor coming up can outvote or outdo anything that you guys have done? Is this something that should be done by the city charter? Should this be a discussion or a study session that you guys need to modify the charter to get this in check? I don't know. It's just I think we're going the wrong way on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huerta. Yes, go ahead. Thank you very much. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bobby Estengo. I live in Nogales, Arizona. And I'm just here to ask the council to please consider leaving Octavio's picture up there. I represent many people that aren't here today. I've spoken to them. I come here truthfully to tell you that. More people oppose taking the picture down, and so I would kindly ask that you consider that, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tando. Thank you very much. Anybody from the council? Mr. Mario?
Excuse me again. I've heard the word history thrown around.
You can mention your name, please.
Mucho Martinez, I'm sorry. I've heard the word history just been thrown around a bunch of times right now, and I'm loving it. I'm sitting right here and I feel like I'm at the Nixon tape hearings and the communist, you're a communist, no, you're a communist type hearing. Unfortunately, it's the wrong time to discuss it. Okay? There's two ways you lose the faith of the constituents. One, if you're crooked. Two, when you really don't connect to their problem. I really don't care if you take it down or you leave it up. I really don't. Right? Who cares right now? I don't. Unfortunately, it's going to be on the front page of the newspaper next issue. I'm not going to buy it. It's not going to help me. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be on the radio tomorrow. I wouldn't listen to it if I wasn't on it. All right? And the people that are going to listen to me tomorrow talk about this are going to call me pretty angry, saying the same thing I'm saying right now. I don't care. I really don't. So, to all y'all here, thank you for your time. Thank you for serving. But Joe Average Man over here is getting a little impatient with this. That's it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the council want to say something? Mr. Venecian, keep it to a minute, please.
Thank you. I'm glad to see you're enjoying it. I think this is what it's supposed to be about, the discussion. If we didn't have the discussion, and if you didn't bring it up on the radio, why do you bring it up so often then? If you don't want to hear it, why do you bring it up daily? I don't understand. I didn't bring it up daily. Did I ever call you? No, so it's not me that called him. Also, I mean, it's amazing how everybody knows how the people of Nogales will vote on this. I mean, what did you take a poll? Did somebody take a poll? As far as I know, the only poll was in the Nogales National, and it was more than double to take it down. That's the only poll I know of. Maybe, you know, maybe it is. Also, Ms. Valdez, I wasn't on the city council when Jaime Fontes was put in as the city manager, so I couldn't vote it. So, but I wasn't on there. I didn't pick him. So I don't know what that was about. But all I can say is this is not a vendetta. It has nothing to do with it. And I want Nogales to move on. The nicest thing would be, again, Octavio has accepted what he did. He has accepted it. It seems the other people can't seem to understand. Mr. Parada and Mr. Felix here either had their eyes closed, did not accept it, or did know what was going on and didn't want to do anything about it. Because if they knew what Octavio was doing, that he was taking bribes and that he was defrauding the city, they should have said something. Right? They're there for that. Okay. All right. But all I can say is it's not rewriting history. It's just for Nogales to move on. It's time to move on. All these things were childish. A lot of things he did was childish. I think it's time to move on. And the best way to move on is put the picture and plaques down, because that's what egged him on. And that's what people egged him on for. And that's why they should be taken down, for that reason and the reason that he is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia.
Excuse me, man.
No, that's it. That's enough. I'm going to make a comment now. No, that's it. You know, I put a lot of thought to this, and you might ask why it was on the agenda, and it's because I said, and the man that I am, I said, anything that a councilman wants to place on the agenda will be placed on the agenda. Not like what happened to me in the past 4 years, that I couldn't place anything on the agenda because either it was too late, too early, I needed more signatures, this and that. That's why it's on the agenda, not because the council wanted it on the agenda. Mr. Venecian wanted the item on the agenda. If anybody wants anything on the agenda, whatever it is, I will allow it to come to the public for dialogue. That's why it's here. And the decision is made here. And actually, when I came to sit here and I was in my office contemplating this item, not saying that I didn't contemplate the important issues on our agenda for tonight, but contemplating this item, I was contemplating of tabling this item indefinitely. But the reason I didn't do that is because I wanted discussion. I want the public to hear, and I want to hear from the public. But what I heard was the same thing. So what we need to do, wait a minute, Mr. Kako. What I needed to hear is, I need to hear Mr. Hanesian's point. Because I'm not going to sit in my office and discuss an issue with my fellow councilmen and commit an open meeting law violation. This is the place to talk about any item. And right now I still contemplate to table it indefinite. There is a motion right now, a motion to remove it and a motion, a first and a second. The only way that I can be successful with that is by asking the two councilmen to remove those motions and to table it indefinite and not bring this back again. I know history. There were pharaohs that chiseled out other pharaohs' history. Why? We don't know. We don't know why they chiseled them out. They chiseled them out because they were not satisfied with that dynasty. Now we don't know. We know exactly what happened because a little piece was left behind, but we don't know what happened. The pictures up here, you all think they probably were put from the first mayor to the last one, huh? The first time they placed pictures of mayors was with Mayor Rockland. That was a few years back. He made the decision to put the mayors, to honor the mayors of our city. We should honor our mayors. We should honor our city council. It's not easy to sit up here to make decisions like this. Especially this decision. Well, true, I don't want to spend my time on this. I don't want to spend my time on this, but I have to. This is history. Actually, whatever happens right now is history. In the archives in the state of Capitol, that video will sit over there. Mr. Machado, will it sit over there in the archives? Yes, it will. Whatever happens here, it'll sit over there. And that's why we do this in public, people. We don't do it behind closed doors, and we don't make these decisions behind closed doors. That's why I placed it on the agenda. But my heart still says, table it indefinite. And right now, what I will ask, as the leader of your city, and as the mayor of this council, I will ask Mr. Hanesian and Mrs. Lopez if they will remove their motion. And not, if they don't remove their motion, we have to go with a vote on that after the discussion. Will you remove the motion?
No, if we're going to do it, let's do it now. Whatever's going to do is let's do it now. No use in hanging as a cloud.
Let's go ahead.
Do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor, Council, let's take a vote. And we're going to do it roll call. Mr. Diaz, we'll start with you, sir.
No. No.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Parada?
No.
Mrs. Valdez?
No.
Mrs. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Felix?
No.
Mayor?
No. Thank you very much. Let's move to item number 15. Consideration and possible action of order number 2011-10-070.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve order number 2001-10-070.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
If we can get, I think, Mr. Dilly or somebody give us a little explanation
If we go into an explanation, I believe we would have to go into the executive session.
Yeah, let's go into executive session. We withdraw the motions. Let's go into executive session.
Okay. We'll take a little break and then go to executive session. Thank you very much. Meeting back in session. I'm going to need a motion on item number.
So moved.
Let me put my glasses on. Item number 15.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Excuse me, go ahead.
I go ahead and make the motion to,
I already moved.
Okay, second.
moving.
No.
No, I can see you here.
Yes, all right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Item number 16, future agenda items. Do we have anything, members of the council?
Yes, I've got oh my God. I want to put on the next agenda the whistleblower policy.
Is it part of the policy that we discussed last time, Mr. Machado?
It's not part of the policy, but what I was intending to do is when I submit the other modifications, go ahead and submit modifications regarding that also so you can consider it all at one time.
Okay.
So it's gonna, we don't need to put in.
Really
Okay. As long as we're working on that.
We'll just add it to that and maybe discuss it with Mr. Machado so you can put it on the outline of it. Anything else, members? Okay, item number 17, Mayor and Council's report on current events. Start with you, Mr. Diaz.
I have a lot of things, but I'm going to cut it short. I attended a lot of the things going on within the city this past month. One of the things I'd like to mention is I'd like to thank Mayor Garino for doing the proclamation on POW-MIA Day.
Thank you, sir.
That went very well, and a lot of people attended, and it was very nice of you to do the proclamation.
Thank you, sir.
And I read it in your absence, and it was very nice. I also attended, one of the more important things was where the Mexican consulate gave a check for $10,000 to Cochise College for scholarships. That went pretty good. And I'll let you guys handle the rest. And another thing is, Mrs. Roxana Lopez from CBUS is going to be spearheading the job fair November 29th at the BFW. Because she was telling me that Moises Perez is going to be a pastor up in North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere?
North, south, somewhere out there.
Somewhere out there.
Yeah.
So, North Carolina, so he's going to be gone, so Roxana will be spearheading the job fair, and any help we can give or encouragement will be gratefully appreciated. And we're also gearing up for Veterans Day, November 11th. So we're already full gear on that, full speed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Hanesian?
Yes, also, I did attend with Mr. Diaz and other council members there. We did attend the breakfast across the line, which was very, very good. And I also did attend several events there at the Mexican consulate, including the 10,000, which was also matched by I guess, funds from Homeland Security, and so it's $20,000 now. And it was dedicated.
County attorney.
Yeah, county
attorney. Was it county attorney?
Yes.
The county attorney matched it, so it's $20,000, and that was going to be given to the kids from the Premiata school, right? Which they're the most at large there. And there were several events there at the Mexican consulate that we attended, and last night I did attend the circus. The only one that attended the circus. And it was very good. I thought it was very, very good. So.
Did you attend or participate?
Motorcycles. I wanted to participate. I thought that was the best.
You know,
I wanted others to participate and go inside where the Jaguars and the Tigers were, but I couldn't get them to go in. So.
Mr. Parada?
Similar events with them, and Chet Cummins, the new consul from the American side, and they attended the Rio Rico ROTC program last week, and it was a real good program. I really enjoyed it. They put up a good show for a good program for the kids.
Vice Mayor?
I was invited to a breakfast with the Chamber of Commerce, and it turned out very, very well. We had a lot of, including Mr. Thiele was there, we had a lot of people from different sections, Homeland Security, Police Department, Border Patrol. I mean, it was very, very well taken care of. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Council?
Yes, we had the Fiestas Patrias at Pearson Park. It happened to be a very, very good event. And thanks to all of you, Mayor and Council, Henesian and Joe for helping. And we also went to the IME Scholarship Program that even though, Mr. Parada, you're not very happy with Mexican things being in Nogales, Arizona, this is one of the programs that it really makes a difference. And I don't think they care who is the one that is receiving the scholarships. And by the way, it's Mexican students receiving the scholarships. And I'm going to invite every one of you to the Dia de los Muertos event. It's going to be October 29 at Pearson Park from 5 to 11. Then we're going to have a concert Friday at the Nogales High School Auditorium at 6 p.m. And then we're going to have another concert, Barbarena, which is an accordionist, and that's going to be Thursday, October 27, also at the Nogales High School Auditorium at 6 p.m. All of these events are coordinated, and I thank again all the council and the mayor that is helping me. And by the way, Mr. Parada, again, the Consulado Mexicano is the one sponsoring these events.
Gee whiz, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I just wanted you to know.
It's about time.
Thank you very much.
We had our ABT meeting, and I'm here to tell you that we still have, even though we had a $70,000 loss on that last month, but it's normal. We still have $2.5 million in our accounts. We're doing very well, and we're having our health fair event that this is our third annual? Our third annual health fair that we started, and that'll be held November the 3rd from 11 to 2 at the rec hall. And I would like everybody to attend. It'll be again hamburgers and hot dogs and cookies donated by the Carondelet.
The cookies by Carondelet, and then the hamburger and hot dog can come through Mr. Price and Mr. Summit, and through Summit. A combination.
So we're all set for that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, and I also attended the Chamber of Commerce and other meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Felix. Well, as you can see, I have a very long list. I'm just going to read through some of them. I was part of the Young Audiences like every year, and the Pieces of Life event, art with the schools. I attended the Arizona Children's Association Centennial Celebration. Attended the AYSO inauguration. Attended also, was part of the 9/11 remembrance, both here at City Hall and at the Mass, San Felipe. And September 15th, I was in Washington, D.C., and I was invited by Ambassador Arturo Saducan to be part of the ceremony of Grito. Very nice, it's unbelievable the way they have it in Washington, D.C. And the 2 days after that, I attended meetings at the White House and economic development and also transportation. I was awarded by the White House an award of Champions of Change. So it was very nice being up there, and I was very happy with the White House awarding me everything. And I also attended the Fiestas Patrias in Nogales with Councilwoman Lopez and Mr. Hanesian, Mr. Diaz. Attended the welcoming of the U.S. Consulate Chad Cummings in Nogales, Sonora. Mr. Parada was there, and Mr. Diaz, Hanesian, and it was a great breakfast. Well, I had a couple of employee recognitions, and I hosted for Nogales meeting, which was very, very nice. We had a group of people here, about 40 people inside the council here, and we got a lot of good networking and good opportunities for the future of Nogales, and in several areas, from economic development even to cleaning our city, so which is pretty good. Attended the kickoff for the Charles Mingus event also, and also attended the scholarship program. We went to the courthouse, which is very nice, from the consulate and from Mr. George Silva. And also I also hosted the EPA meeting with ADEQ, EPA, and other environmental agencies at the Holiday Inn, which is very, very positive for our community. And they're going to be helping us on a lot of issues, a lot of impact, a lot of good input from a lot of people from the county. So it wasn't just city people, it was throughout the, so it was very important. That's all I have, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I think first and foremost, I'd like to formally introduce the council to the newest member of the city's senior management team, our new HR director, Mrs. Elva Rios Chavez. Let me just give you a little bit of background on Ms. Chavez. She's originally from King City, California. She received a Bachelor's of Arts degree from California State University, Fresno. She also received a second bachelor's degree in science, a Bachelor's of Science with an emphasis in human resources from Golden Gate University in California as well. She's also pursuing actively a professional human resource certification. If you follow up on the human resource profession, there's a couple of certifications that are very difficult to get. One of them is what they call PHR, Professional Human Resource Certification. She is rounding the last curve on being able to get that, and will be a huge asset to the city that way. She has 11 years of professional human resource experience. Her and her family moved, she's got, 3 kids?
3 kids.
Her and her family moved to Nogales from California in 2003, and since then she's worked as a human resource manager for Home Depot, for Target, and also most recently Sykes, right? So she's very approachable. I would welcome and extend an invitation for any of you guys to stop in her office and say hi and introduce yourself if you haven't already done so. But thank you for the warm welcome, and we're glad to have her on board to help us out.
Mr. Julius, is she aware that she needs to buy the tickets for the Red Ribbon? They got to come out of your budget, okay? And 3 go to the mayor's office.
I heard about the budget.
Attend the council. We already informed her about the budget. Anyway, thank you for that opportunity, and again, welcome, Elva. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I also just want to take a minute. There's always such a couple minutes. There's always such a quick effort to point out that we're not doing much as a community. You hear it on the radio, you hear it too often. We have a lot going on, whether it's ADOT, whether it's through EPA grants, whether it's our own projects going on. There is a lot happening, and there will continue to be things happening. And I just wanted to point out just a couple of things, okay? As it relates to ADOT, we know that they're doing a whole bunch of work on Mariposa, right? One of the requests that we made of them was to take a look at, there was a couple of really rough spots on Grand Avenue just south of Mariposa. And you'll notice that they didn't have to, it wasn't part of the original scope of work, but staff has been requesting them to address that as part of this project. And you saw just over the last night or two that they've taken care of a little section of that Grand Avenue that was really, really bad shape. We also asked them to repave the 82 bridge, okay? Sometime, when it first came up, I just did some U's right there, just so I could drive over it a couple of times, because it was so fun to drive on after we had gone through months and months and months in that condition.
Rattled your brain.
It was bad. So that's done, okay? And it's something that we can highlight and spotlight, and we should. Other things that we've asked ADOT to address, and they're evaluating it right now. left-hand turn signal on Morley and Banks Bridge. Okay, dedicated left-hand. It's not there, it really needs to be. It's their intersection, their lane, so they're looking at that. Dedicated left-hand turn lane on Grand and Doe. Okay, that's really bad. You see those cars trying to do that turn, and it's just really bad, really bad. We also asked them to take a look at shortening the median right there by the Walmart entrance on Grand, because during some times of the day, that bay area can't stack enough cars, and so they bleed over into the travel lane, and so you end up getting one effective lane on that part of the road. So they're evaluating being able to shorten that median so that we have more stacking of cars at that intersection, and we can free up our Grand Avenue a little bit better, and that happens every day. I wanted to point out that obviously the Morley project is going really, really well. I'm excited to see it continue and to be completed. It'll be a huge boon to a long fast for the community in terms of not being able to get some of these projects kicked off and going. We've completed. Are we complete with the West International Colonia project? That was an EPA grant. The West International Colonia area where they redid a bunch of sewer up there, aged sewer that needed to be done. That's all complete. They're currently working on the Coronado area. We know that. That project is replacing water and sewer. And then there was Cimarron, which is the Nogales West Colonia area, and that's also an EPA grant, and that should be starting. Has it already started?
They already started.
They already started that. So a lot of good is happening, and I appreciated Councilmember Diaz's comments about looking forward, and having our eye on the ball forward and not so much in the past, because I think there's a lot that we can look at to promote what we're trying to accomplish in the future. Finally, I just wanted to let you know we're actively engaging the residents in the pilot project area for our recycling efforts. I think that program is supposed to get kicked off the end of this month, end of October, right? So we're really excited about that. We'll monitor the progress. We'll be bringing reports back to the council on how that's going. We are hopeful as staff that it's going to be a huge success and that we're going to be able to implement this community-wide and finally realize a recycling program that's clean and that we can really put our hat on and be proud of. And so there's a lot going on and it's good stuff, and I just wanted to take an opportunity to share that with the council.
Thank you. A suggestion of everything that we've done. Is there any way you could put something on the water bill? People, I agree with you that we do a lot and we've done a lot and we're doing a lot. Yes. But if people don't know, then, how are they going to know that we are?
Mr. Mayor, afford me one more minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is 1 minute. This last department head meeting that I had, I rolled out with the senior management team the concept of a community newsletter, and it's these things can get really bogged down in detail and lose their value, whether it's updates to the council or it's updates to the community. You can kill it to death with detail and too much information. We're looking for something that's exciting, something that people really want to read, look at, and get some quick glimpses of what the community is doing. Our target audience is really the council. We want to be able to provide you a monthly document, 1 page, maybe 2 at the most, that really sums up things that are happening in, as far as staff, things that we're doing to support the vision and the direction that the council has given us. And we think that that'll be a huge tool for you as a council in terms of being able to answer questions that you may get, after hours or on the street when you're doing your grocery shopping or what have you. On the same side, it'll be a huge tool for us in communicating to the rest of the employees what's happening, because sometimes employees in one department don't really understand what's happening in another department. And we can also put that in the utility bills and get that out to the residents, in addition to having it on our website. So a lot of benefits to that, and our goal is to make it short, concise, interesting, using a lot of, strategies in terms of getting that out. And we have a little competition going on with staff here in the near future on what we're going to call it. And so we'll see how creative we can get and how interesting we can make it. So that's a good suggestion.
Good idea.
That's it.
Let me speak a little more.
No, before,
I want to give a little more.
we